for those songs. Good evening, guys. Hope y'all are having a blessed weekend. Unfortunately, my mom couldn't be here tonight. She went to go help Dane and Lizzie tonight, so we're happy that she is able to help. And so it's a little different, a little bit more nervous now that she's not here. She usually gives a lot of comfort and encouragement, but that's okay. So it's good that everyone was able to come back this evening. So excited to preach to you guys again. And so I was told to keep us until 6:30. So I'll do my best to keep it around that time. So I'll try and keep it short for everyone. As I was thinking about the lesson for this evening, something that kind of came to mind for me was I really enjoy music. Anytime I gather up our kids and we're going to whether it's a youth focus or it's a church camp of some kind, we all love to listen to music. That's something they're like, can I have the aux cord so I can listen to music? And, usually I let them, in other words, really, whenever we're on van rides or we're going somewhere together, there's not much time for silence at all. Because, usually people can't hear the music in the back, so you got to turn it up loud. I can't hear myself talk, music is a big part of their lives, and it's a big part of my life too. I like to listen to just about everything. But recently, I've been trying to get back into listening to like worship music and some a cappella music, whether that is a cappella or praise and harmony. The Zoe group, if you don't know them, I would encourage taking a listen to some of their stuff. It's really good. But a couple weeks ago, I stumbled across a group that I haven't really listened to in a while. The group, their name is United Voice Worship. They're mostly a denominational, however they are a denominational group, but they actually release a lot of a cappella music, and I like to listen to that in my spare time. They actually make listening tracks to how to sing some of their songs. One of the songs I stumbled across, it's actually a fairly new song. It hadn't been written more than like 3 or 4 years ago. The song is called For the One, and some of the lyrics in this song, I think, are really encouraging to me. And I hope as we dive into kind of this song and some of the scripture it kind of talks about, I hope that we can all be encouraged by the words that these people have written and sung tonight. And so I hope you guys kind of are able to just kind of take something out of that tonight. They start off the song with something that they start off the first lyric with "Let me be filled with kind and compassion for the one." For the one is basically referencing for God is who they're referencing here. But it says, "Let me be filled with kindness and compassion." This singer is asking that God fills us up with kindness and compassion, obviously, and not with hate and hurt. There was a study I found in 2023. There were 34 women that went into the study. There was a study between the difference in the brain between, on physical pain and then like social pain, like from words. And one of the stats they found was that that pain from saying words that hurt others and neglecting actually causes some of the same effects and increased activity and violence and anger rather than someone that's brought physical pain on someone. And so in other words, what that means is sometimes effects on people that are affected um, with violence and things like that, they've really been hurt in some way, socially. And so what I'm trying to get at is our words definitely matter. And this lyric here, saying, "Let me be filled with kindness and compassion." That's something that speaks to me because, I would like to think I try to be kind and compassionate towards others, but there's a lot of times where I don't think about the words that I say, and I hurt a lot of people. In James chapter 1 and verse 19, it talks about that we must be quick to hear and slow to speak, and slow to anger. It says, "Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. For the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God." Reading those verses, it really kind of shows me that our words definitely matter to people, and our attitude and how we do things. It definitely matters how we treat people, because we are called to be a light in the world. And so as being a light, we've got to set the example of being nice to people, encouraging them, things like that. And so yeah, that lyric definitely spoke to me. When we are called to be people that encourage, and build each other up, we don't become as angry. We don't become as resentful to people. We become more loving. And so another lyric that I kind of want to talk about is when it gets to the chorus. We'll kind of be in the chorus of the song through the rest of this lesson. The chorus starts off with, "Help me to love with open arms like you do." In Luke chapter 18, it starts in verse 15 and 16, verse 16 actually. This is when children are coming to Jesus at this time, and the disciples are like, why is he doing that? They're almost trying to rebuke him. And Jesus says in verse 16, "But Jesus called to him, saying, 'Let the children come to me, and do not hinder them, for such belongs the kingdom of God.'" I remember when I was very young, and even now, I actually, it's funny that we live in a state where there's tornadoes and thunderstorms all the time, so you think we would be used to them by now. I actually still have a fear of those things. I'm not proud to admit that, but that's just how it is. I do not like thunderstorms. I don't know what it is. I don't know why that is, but I just don't like them. And so I remember my mom when I was about 4 or 5 years old. There was a really bad thunderstorm, and I got up and I ran to my mom as fast as I could. Really sad, really scared that I could be taken away. With the fear of, the thunder. I don't know if it was just because the noise was really loud or just the flashes of lightning, because hearing about people getting struck and stuff, even though it's very rare, you still have that fear in the back of your mind. And so I would run to Mom whenever a thunderstorm would start, and she would always just wrap her arms around me and just comfort me during that time. She would just embrace me. And I think Jesus does the same thing with us. Whether we're scared, whether we might be guilty of things we might have done, whether that be we're shameful of the acts we've committed, whether we feel lost. I mean, we look at Luke 15 with the prodigal son. I mean, the father embraces the son who comes back to him. And I think Jesus does the same exact thing with us. When we lay aside those things and we just run to him, and he has open arms for us, I think that shows true love that God has for us. Um, you know, for most of our parents in here, nothing can take away your love for your children, and I think that's something that can be probably agreed upon between everyone. And like I said, I think He does the same thing for us. He loves us no matter how hurt we are, no matter what we've done. Now, that doesn't mean He's always proud of us for the things that we've done, but He still loves us for who we are. And I think He's waiting for us. And another thing, another lyric that we can look at is that here in the chorus it says, "This is a love that erases all the lies and it sees the truth." For most of us, I think we can definitely remember how we came to Christ at some point in our life. Maybe our walk or our story, how we were able to become baptized or become Christians. Sometimes we want to push some of the bad in our lives aside. And not that it's wrong. Yeah, we want to move on from those things. We brush it off because we don't think it matters. But sometimes, like we talked about this morning, we're shameful and guilty of who we are and maybe what we have done in our past. Something that one of my teachers at Oklahoma Christian encouraged us to do. We had about 10 different tables in a classroom, and he encouraged us to all tell our story of how we became Christians. And I told my story, and there's a lot of parts. I didn't want to go super vague because it was a class and stuff, but I realized that there's a lot of brokenness in my life, and I'm sure we all have had brokenness, things that we aren't proud of in our lives. But that's a part of us. That's who we are. But as we are being molded by God, as we are becoming the person that He wants us to be, we move on from that and we become encouragers. We become not necessarily embracing our past, but just saying, this was who I was, but this is who I am now because of Jesus. That's something that we can look at with Paul. When in Acts chapter 22, yes, he's kind of in a bad situation right here and there, but in Acts 22, he retells the story of how he became a Christian. And, he tells it very similarly to Acts chapter 9. And he talks about why he is there and what his purpose is in his ministry. He's probably not proud of the people he was helping kill or persecute. He's probably not proud of the moment in Acts chapter 8 where he approved of the stoning of Stephen. I know he wasn't proud of that. But he understood that he was able to like we talked about this morning, that he was able to let God heal and fix him. And so because of that, he used his life and his story to bring to others what God has done for him. And so I ask y'all, as we kind of look into our lives, who are we and who we really belong to? Who do you really belong to in your life? And then another part of the chorus, it says, although when they look in my eyes, they would see you. Matthew chapter 5, verse 16 relates with this really well. In the same way, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. And And then we skip over to Matthew 23 when Jesus is talking to the scribes and the Pharisees here. He has the woes that he talks about, the seven woes to them, kind of calling them out on these things. He talks about in verse 25, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you clean the outside of the cup and the plate, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. You blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup and the plate, that the outside may also be clean." Why I tie this verse into letting our light shine before others is in this lyric it says, "Although when they look in my eyes, they would see you." So the writer of this song, the way she wrote it was, instead of giving me the glory, I need to give him the glory. Everything that I do should be reflecting what God has done for me. Sometimes, and I think we can all agree that there's times where we just tend to come here, whether it's Sunday night, Sunday morning, Wednesday night, and we just go through the motions. There's times where even I'm guilty of that, where we all just, and including me, we go to church 3 times a week. We are calling people. We are taking care of others. I'm driving kids to a youth event. I'm getting my lessons done for the week. Whatever that is, sometimes I get in this mode where I check boxes, and that's something I am not proud of at all. But it keeps up with people. It shows people that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But even though I'm doing the things I am supposed to do, there's no meaning behind that sometimes, and sometimes we can lose our purpose, and I'm very guilty of that. People tell you, you're doing a great job, and sometimes that's my motive behind why I do things. Here Jesus calls people out for that you got to clean the inside of the cup before you can clean the outside. Whatever your heart is desiring, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also, like it says in Matthew. Sometimes we tend to go through that. In reality, what I do, it shouldn't reflect me. It should be reflecting Christ. So it should be reflecting really what God has done for me, not necessarily my actions. And so that's another thing we can take away from this song, is that when we go out into the world, we want to do good things for the Lord. We want to serve others. But it's not necessarily for us. It's to point everything towards Him. So I hope you take that away tonight. And our last couple things before we close is in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 1 and 2 is where we'll be, and we'll finish up here. Ephesians 5, verse 1 and 2. This last lyric in this song says, "Even in just a smile, they would feel the Father's love." Ephesians 5, verse 1 and 2 says, "Therefore be imitators of God as beloved children, and walk in love as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God." When we set the example of being nice to others, standing up for our faith, and then practicing what we preach, people will notice that. They'll see that we are different in our actions. That sacrifice He's given us, it shows us that true love, and it is something that, even to this day, it's very difficult to comprehend. All the times that I have messed up, all the times that I've handled situations not too great, all those things, he still loves me for those anyway. Um, and so when we are inclusive and loving those who are broken, then they see that light that we are trying to reflect, like we talked about in Matthew chapter 5. So now that we close, this song was just something that was just really pretty to me, and I wanted to just share it with you guys. This song, I encourage you to listen to it. It just shows that God isn't just this big person in the sky that doesn't care about us. This song reminds me that He is personal. He's there to welcome us into His home, and that all the brokenness, the hurting, and maybe even the healing that we're going through, He wants all of that. He feels for us because of His Son. His Son was able to experience the things that we did. And so I hope you guys can be motivated and reminded of how much we are all loved by the Father, and that the example we can follow behind. So if there's anything you need tonight, will you please come as we stand and sing?